Action.
Action! We are facing a question that people ask me almost every day. And whether or not we answer it with precision doesn't matter. What really matters is that we engage this question with the full force and courage of inquiry and examination. And the question is, where does a Bitcoin come from? What's the origin of a Bitcoin? Before we engage that question, I want to ask a question. Where does a dollar come from? People say, well, I can touch a dollar, but I can't touch a Bitcoin. I don't know where that is. But that's a different issue. Can I touch it? Where is it? Where does it come from? And so I'm told a dollar is loaned into existence. You have a central bank. It's not even a government authority or agency. It's private. And it takes a look at what's going on, puts a finger on the pulse of the economy, and depending on what's motivating the bank to do this, the bank will reduce interest rates and loan dollars to other banks, to more banks that are out there in the commercial world, who will in turn loan them to businesses and individuals. And when they want austerity, they'll turn the dial the other way and raise interest rates and issue out less dollars. Now, in some other videos, we might explore John Locke's theory of value and Adam Smith's theory of value, and how these two separate theories of value might inform what happens to a dollar once it gets out there in the economy and why it's loaned into existence in the first place. Okay, so where does a Bitcoin come from? A Bitcoin is predetermined. The ones that haven't been made yet, a piece of software code was written and went live on January 3rd, 2009, that mathematically predetermined when every Bitcoin on the planet will be created. And as we know, there will be a finite amount. In just a few years, there's going to be never more than 21 million Bitcoin on the planet. And Satoshi wrote a piece of software that says every 10 minutes a new Bitcoin shows up that did not show up before. And the way it works is miners must show proof of work by running a lot of computations and a lot of computational power on their machines to demonstrate that they have guessed a correct sort of mathematical riddle, and that they have also validated group of transactions that will constitute the very next block to be put on the blockchain. The first miner to win this contest wins the right to put the new block on the blockchain and thereby earns the right to be paid Bitcoin. The first 4 years, it was, I believe, 50 Bitcoin per transaction to each miner who does this. Then it would drop to 25. I think now we're at 12, and it will keep dropping in half. Now, in the future, miners will be paid for their work with transaction fees. They already are, in addition to this newly minted Bitcoin. But let's get back to this Bitcoin. The last thing I'll say is this Bitcoin that was never on the planet, that was predestined and predetermined by the software code, is actually, if you study the very next block to go on the blockchain, block by block, the very first entry in that is not a transaction that's being memorialized between two parties in the Bitcoin community and ecosystem. It's actually a payment to the miner who created that block and is going to receive that Bitcoin that theretofore did not exist today, those 6 Bitcoin. So to be clear, a new block is created. A miner goes and validates the transactions, guesses a nonce, submits it to nodes to see if the nodes will actually verify and validate that this is correct. If the nodes reach consensus that the miner performed the proof of work, then this new block goes on the blockchain and it has a bunch of transactions memorialized in it. And the very first transaction is that the miner gets paid a new Bitcoin that never existed before. I hope that's clear on where a Bitcoin comes from. When you study other cryptographic currencies and altcoins like NEM and Dash and Zcash and Monero and Litecoin and Omisego, they have their own software code that predetermines how and what is the origin of those coins? And that's for another day. So, to the skeptics or just simply the curious who keep asking, where does a Bitcoin come from? How can I believe that it's real? First ask yourself, where does a dollar come from? Then ask yourself, where does a Bitcoin come from? I can answer the second one with a lot more clarity and lucidity than the first. I have to go. It's our last night with Abby. Actually, Marissa Rivera McGrath is coming to pick up Abby. I had Abby sleeping on my ankle last night. I got to do Desmond's litter. My wife, she cut her golden locks today, and they look even more fantastic. She gets better every day. Her sagacity, her sculpted physique, her wisdom. She wrote a beautiful, beautiful piece on Steemit. Go take a look. Kateabate, Kateabate. She's fantastic. This is all junk until you go and study her. I gotta feed Desmond. Don't look at my glutes. See you later.